How are you today? It is Thursday, of course. New episodes drop every Thursday, and I am just vibing out in Pisces season. Happy Pisces season. We've made it to the last zodiac of the astrological wheel, the last zodiac sign, the last zodiacal piece of zodiacal energy, right? We are rounding out this whole year with Pisces love. And if you're unfamiliar with Pisces, the fish, this is emotional energy. And I feel like whenever we hear the word emotional, we tend to equate that with, negative undertones. Like, oh, is somebody being too emotional? Or like, is this sadness? Is somebody going to cry? Whatever that is. But this can also be full of joy and happiness and sovereignty and peace and bliss, right? There's two sides to every coin. Our Pisces bays are empaths, right? They're empaths through and through. They are filled with emotional energy. I always say the Pisces will give the shirt off their back even if they don't have a shirt. It's just kind of how they roll. And they feel things. That is to say, things happening within the collective, wars, movements can tend to bring a lot of anxiety through for the Pisces Bay. Our Pisces are imaginative. They are in the clouds quite often. They have a strong imagination, actually, and they make some of the best mystics. They are quite intuitive. They're a water sign. And as you know, the water signs in general tend to be incredibly integrated in their own intuitive abilities, because we all are intuitive on some level, right? But if you have a lot of water influences in your chart, you tend to be somebody who's more aware of your intuitive abilities, whether or not you utilize them or work with them. It's just something that you're aware of. And so now we're in Pisces season. We just finished a new moon in Pisces. How was that for you? New moons are times to really grow, to bring things in, to call things in. So this week, as we're still playing around with this new moon energy, I would advise you to take deeper looks into your emotional maturity. How can I be more emotionally mature, right? How can I have conversations, especially hard conversations or emotionally triggering conversations with somebody, and still keep my own integrity, right? As an emotional person myself, one thing I've always struggled with is being reactive emotionally. And that's definitely an ego thing. It's like, I don't know how to respond. And so I'm just going to respond with how I feel, but I'm not going to express it in the way that it needs to be expressed. And I think Pisces energy in general kind of has that too. This idea of being so deep in your feelings that you have no clue how to express them. And so often you get misunderstood, right? Emotional people in general tend to be misunderstood, whether it's on their end or the other person who's doing the misunderstanding, or a mixture of both. And so one of my own journeys through shadow work and through self-exploration is to learn how to make myself more understood by all the people. And I'm not going to blame it on somebody else. Well, they're not listening, or they're saying the wrong thing, or they're the ones being combative. Because remember, we only have control of us in the moment. We don't have control of anybody else. So it really is on us to make sure that we are coming across as effectively as possible when we are in emotionally triggering situations or just going through deep ass shit. You know what I mean? I would also urge you during Pisces season to allow yourself to feel the feelings. And this is more so directed to our folks who don't like to do the feeling thing, our folks who would prefer to not be all up in their feels, or maybe even having an anxious, avoidant attachment style. Allow yourself over this next month or so that the sun is hanging out with Pisces to just be in that feeling, whether it is sadness, whether it is overwhelm, whether it is joy, whether it is bliss, whether it is frustration or even anger. And remember, anger is a secondary emotion. So more often than not, when we are feeling anger, we're really feeling something else. And then it becomes on us to take a moment, to take a beat, and to reflect, what am I actually feeling here? Am I feeling shame? Am I feeling fear? Am I feeling regret, woe, worry, sadness? But more often than not, anger is not really it. And so these are just a few practical things you can do this month while you are working with Piscean energy. And of course, the best thing, water, baby. It's a water sign. It's the fish. Work with water. If you live in an area that's not freezing right now, go play with the water. Go to the beach, journal by the water. If you do live in an area where it's cold and you fuck with that shit, still go to the water or take spiritual baths, right? Make your moon water. Water your plants with that moon water. Drink your moon water. Put some water on your altar. And when you are taking a bath or when you are taking a shower, envision, especially with the shower, you can envision the water is coming down on you like golden rays of light. Like close your eyes and just envision that water is golden rays of light. And it's just blessing you and cleansing you and clearing you, right? So many beautiful ways to work with water and to honor water. One thing I'm probably going to do this month is do a gratitude list to water. I don't think that we are thankful enough to water and what water has done for us as intellectual beings on this planet. We literally would not be here without water. We are made up of water. Water births and water destroys. Our planet is mostly water. And I'm lucky enough to live in an area that I live in upstate New York. And so we're home to one of the biggest, if not the biggest, freshwater lake system in the world. And I forget about that often. And so it was really funny when I introduced my partner to one of our lakes. He was bamboozled. He looked at it and he's like, "This is not a lake." I'm like, "Yes, it is." He's like, "This is massive. It's an ocean." Like he literally had to taste the water because he did not believe me. And he was like taking pictures of it and sending it to his friends and family. And it just made me think, wow, I forget how majestic the fucking Great Lakes are and how they are in my backyard. And with all the things happening right now around water and the explosion and the contamination and how so many areas don't have water, right? Even in our own stomping ground, it's so important for us to take a moment and to just be thankful to H2O, baby, and everything H2O brings and gives to us. So yeah, that's my little bit. So today I have a fun episode for you all. This came to me because, as you all know, I do business and I teach business to budding entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are looking to scale. And the one thing that I've noticed inside of my work is that we are dealing with entirely different problem sets than other folks, other entrepreneurs, right? There's a difference between the person who wants to build their own roofing business, for example, and the person that wants to build their own Reiki business, right? There's a different set of problems that both of these entrepreneur archetypes encounter. And the way to work with these problem sets is also going to be different. And I don't think we talk about that enough. And so today I wanted to shed some light, especially if you are looking to build your business, or if you are in the phase of scaling your business, or if your business is established, on some of the problem sets that we face that other entrepreneurs don't. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is money. As a spiritual entrepreneur, we have so many false narratives around money and getting money for our gifts. And these problem sets, a whole different podcast, but these problem sets, in my opinion, tend to come from the patriarchy. Could you guess? and what I'm saying is there have been years and years and years and years and years of us living in a system who blatantly disrespects our craft, who blatantly says that our craft isn't real. Oh, you believe in witches. Oh, you believe in mediums. Oh, you believe in aliens. You're silly, right? And so when we are conditioned to believe that our gifts, that our intuitive abilities, that our healing abilities are, quote, not real, then we feel foolish, silly, or stupid, or dare I say, like an imposter for wanting to then ask for money for said abilities. And that's really, truly just one piece of the puzzle. It's almost like we can wrap our heads around a person who's building a roofing business and they encounter somebody who needs a new roof. Well, that's okay. But somebody who has imbalanced chakras and is looking for somebody to do energy work on them, okay, well, I think I'm just supposed to do it, right? Another thing, too, is that because our gifts are so sacred, and not to jump around, but I do want to highlight that all of us have gifts. Like, we are all multidimensional individuals having a human experience. The archetype of the healer, the mystic, the seer, the diviner, this is somebody who's taken the time to really, really, really hone in on their craft, understand their craft, learn how to work with their craft, and strengthen their craft on a regular basis. That's the only difference between a mystic and an everyday person, right? So going back to what I was saying essentially is that back in the day, people used to take care of the town shaman, of the town mystic, of the town healer. And this is still practiced actually in certain cultures now, but we don't really see it that much in first world countries. And so because we chose to work with money in Earth School, inside of this Earth matrix, one of our collective soul contracts is to understand how to work with money as it relates to our gifts. I hope you're following what I'm putting down. What I'm really getting at is this idea of you, for example, feeling guilty for charging $55 for a tarot reading. Whatever. You think, I should just be doing this for free. This is a gift of mine. I should just be giving it away. Why am I charging? Like, all these things may come across your mind, or I feel bad for charging them. Is this too expensive? What if they don't have the money? All of that. But we must remember the bigger thing that's happening here. And the bigger thing that's happening here is that we are fulfilling or attempting to fulfill this soul contract that we have with money. Money is a neutral teacher. It's a neutral master teacher. Money is energy, and money likes to move, right? And so there's this idea that comes in about, why wouldn't you charge? Of course you charge. A mechanic goes to school to study how to fix a car and has no problem charging. You've taken the time to get Reiki attuned in how many different levels? So why shouldn't you be charging? And going back to that idea of how the community would take care of the community shaman or the community healer or the community mystic, we just don't see that today. We have shifted into this current era where that doesn't happen. So we need to be compensated, taken care of in a different way. And it really kind of is the same thing. If my community was paying my rent and buying my food, would I need to charge? you know? But my community is not, but kind of is, because I do charge. And so my community does take care of me. And so I want you to ask yourself, especially if this is something that you're struggling with, what's actually happening here? Why are you worried to charge? Right? And another thing that comes up with us specifically that you don't really see in everyday entrepreneurship is this idea of, am I good enough? Right? You know, a doctor goes to school for 12 years before they can open up your brain. And so by the time they open up somebody's brain for the first time, I'm sure they're wondering, holy shit, am I good enough? And then after a while, they realize that they are good enough. And then they become the best brain surgeon in their city, right? Well, that's the same for us, but through a different lens. You must remember, my love, that you have taken the time to study in whatever area of spirituality that you live in, that you cipher in, that you work in. You've read the books, you've done the practice, you've connected with your guides, you've had the mentors, you've taken the courses. So of course you're good enough. Why wouldn't you be good enough? And then on top of that, you must remember that you're divinely led. And so one thing that I always do before I go into session with really all of my clients is I always talk to spirit. I talk to God. I'm like, hey, allow me to be the channel that I know I am. And whatever wants to come through and whatever needs to be seen, whatever needs to be heard by this beautiful, beautiful soul that has entrusted me with their time, with their money, with their work, with their healing journey, that whatever comes through is supposed to serve them in the exact way it's supposed to serve them. And it does all the time. And so I think some of you are afraid to really take the leap and to really make your business yours and to really get in the pocket of this journey, because there's that question in the back of your mind of, am I good enough? And I think the difference is when we look at other entrepreneurs, let's take the roofing example for a minute. They've done so much practice in their studies. They've worked, they've been an apprentice. They've worked under folks who were doing it. They've learned all the things. And so there's a few things I want to unpack here. Have you done that? Have you worked under folks that you admire? Have you done all the things? Have you done all the practice, right? So that those confidence codes are instilled within you when you are ready to go out in the world and show the world your magic. And so imposter syndrome, I've always found this topic to be interesting because sometimes we make ourselves the imposter for silly egoic reasons. And sometimes we are the imposter because we simply just haven't done the work yet. And so this is a question that I can't answer. This is a question that you must answer. And that really is the difference. This world, this spiritual world, this world of self-improvement and self-development is very much unregulated. Anybody can start reading tarot for money and they've never read tarot in their entire lives. That's the difference. Somebody who's looking to buy a roof is going to look into the roofers they charge. But that roofer, whoever they are, they need their first one. You know what I mean? They need practice. They need somebody to say, hey, give me a shot. So this really is about integrity. And I feel like anybody that's listening here, you are practicing with integrity. I feel like my work doesn't call in folks who aren't integrous, who aren't walking in integrity. Let's try that. And so with that being said, if you've done enough before you start coming out into the world and charging and building your business. Are you enjoying the episode? Well, I have a special invitation for you. I invite you to join myself and other New Earth leaders for a 3-day immersion the first week in March. Inside, we will be discussing the shift that takes place when you make the empowered decision to start your business, scale your business, and brand your business. On March 3rd, 4th, and 5th at 6 p.m. EST, you will discover how you can lead with authenticity, do the work that you love, and get paid with integrity. There will be 3 days of super special giveaways, plus a rare opportunity for hot seat coaching, where you can get your specific questions answered about your biz by me. Link is in the show notes to sign up. I'll see you there. And now, back to the show. Another thing, I guess, or theme that we face as spiritual entrepreneurs versus, everyday ones is this idea of being in the broom closet or being in the spiritual closet. Again, we'll go to the roofing example because I think it's the most tangible. When you start a roofing business, of course, there might be people that are like, oh, are you sure you want to start a business right now? Are you sure? But they're not questioning the idea. They're not questioning the topic. They're not questioning the roofing, if they are questioning anything at all. So to be more clear, let's say we have a couple, Bob and Sue, and Bob says, I think I want to start my own roofing business. Sue is going to say one of two things. Are you sure you want to start a business right now? Or fuck yeah, let's get it. But if Bob has experienced roofing and Bob's been doing roofing for X amount of time, Sue's not going to be like, oh, but you don't even have any experience roofing. Being a spiritual entrepreneur and claiming that you're ready to build your own business and you're ready to scale your own business has all these different codes attached to it, because it's like, now we have to go public. All these things we did in secret, we did in quiet, we did behind the door. Now we're going to bring them to the light. Now we're going to be talking openly about our experiences in other dimensions. Now we're going to be talking openly about our ritual work and our love affair with the moon. Now we're going to be talking openly about the high priestess and the hierophant. Now we're going to be talking openly about our big 3 in astrology and what Saturn can do for you. And that can be really fucking scary, especially if you have a familial background that's not really into this, that doesn't really know much about this, or that is, dare I say, scared of this work. That's specifically more towards our folks who grew up in religious backgrounds, such as myself. And so that can often lead to you wanting to stay in hiding. And it could lead to more limiting beliefs building up around you being good enough to do this work, because you feel like you're a fraud because you can't even tell your parents about it, And so to that, I say, coming out of the broom closet comes with time. It's everybody's journey is different. So my journey was, when I decided that I wanted to do this work, the first thing I did was I created a separate Instagram. Starseed Shadows was made from the ground up. There was no connection to my personal Instagram, no connection to my Facebook, none of that. And I continued to post and I continued to talk about my work and I continued to get really comfortable being visible. And over time, I got more and more comfortable with talking about it with others. It's like a muscle. Again, you all know what I'm going to say. Consistency is key. You must keep showing up in whatever way that you feel comfortable in. And the more that you do that, the more you can feel comfortable in other ways and showing up in other ways and talking to your family about it. And when I talked to my parents and said that I was building this business, it was immediately, that's Satan's work. Immediately. It took them months to realize not only was I serious about it, but it's not what you think it is. And also look at how it's improving my life. They were actively seeing how embodying a deep, deep appreciation and love for my spiritual practice was changing my life in the best way possible. And they wanted a piece of that. Cut to a couple years later, my mom's getting tarot readings from me now. I never thought I'd see the day. And of course, I don't talk much about the work that I do with other people in my family. I keep it pretty low key with them, but they can always find my work and it's not in hiding anymore. That's the difference. I post stuff to Facebook. I post stuff to Instagram. I have a website that talks about what I do. And there is one thing I will say. There are certain stories on my Instagram that's only for you guys, and that's not for my Facebook people. And that's okay. I want you to understand, my love, that this sort of work, it's going to take time to find out how you want to do this and how you want to show up and where your own authenticity codes lie. This is not going to happen overnight. And you are not a fraud because you're starting your business, but your best friend doesn't know about it yet because you're afraid of what they'll think. You're not an imposter because you channel archangels and you're afraid that people in your hometown will call you crazy. The biggest piece of starting your own business, the biggest piece of being in your own spiritual business is the shadow work piece, is the shadow integration. It is the upgrades that we are so blessed to receive from this work, which leads me to my next point. Somebody who wants to start a roofing business will go through shadow work. Well, they know that they're going through shadow work is a different story. Because we're so enveloped in our spiritual practice and what we do and how we serve, we can see in real time when we are up leveling. We can see in real time where we are learning more about ourselves in the way that we want to interact with the world and really identifying our own authenticity codes and how we want to activate them, which is such a gift that I wish I could give to all entrepreneurs, because the everyday entrepreneur is just crunching the numbers. Plus this, minus that, times this is how much we need to sell, this is how much for taxes, let's get it going, I need to get this many jobs, da, 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 da. But we are so enveloped in the energetics and making sure that our own soul is pure and that we are doing what we need to do to make sure that we can serve in our highest high. And I think it's the most beautiful, because in order for me to serve you, I have to make sure I'm serving myself first. So this whole idea around other entrepreneurs who get so caught up in the masculine and they end up running themselves ragged and they end up overdoing it and doing too much and working like a dog and working in their business and not on their business, well, that's a different sort of monster that we can try to avoid. Does it still happen to us? Yes. Yes, it does. Especially when you get in the thick of building your business and you're taking clients and you're building out offers and you're creating websites and creating content, it 100% can happen where we just are working like mad dogs and we forget to regulate, and we forget to regulate our own energy. But then eventually we get pulled back, our guides come a knocking, certain synchronistic events start happening. Your mentor tells you to slow the fuck down, you know. And then you're like, holy shit, I'm out of alignment. Let me get back into alignment. And I think that's a really beautiful piece of being a spiritual entrepreneur, because we are so aware of how we are getting our own medicine before we can help anybody else get theirs. And so I really wanted to just discuss how we are dealing with a different level of problem sets than other entrepreneurs. And it's hard because the work we do isn't as tangible as building a roof. It's not as tangible as a knee surgery that went well or a boob job that went well. Our work is more often than not, the results are not tangible. When I'm doing a forecasting session in astrology with somebody, they're not going to see the things I say come into fruition for the whole year. You know what I mean? When somebody's doing a Reiki session, they can only go by how they feel at the end. So I want you to recognize that the work that you do, the work that we do, is different, to say the least. And with it being different comes a different set of problem sets, along with the same problem sets as the regular entrepreneur. That's the catch-22. It's not like we have all these different problem sets and we don't have to touch any of the others that the regular entrepreneur deals with. We have them both. We have the best of both worlds. We still have to look at the masculine. We still have to look at what we're pricing our offers. We still have to look at our product pyramid. We still have to look at how many clients we're getting a month. We still have to look at our taxes. God, taxes. We still have to create websites. We still have to do all that. We still have to pay bills. And we have to do all of this work with, in my opinion, the highest level of integrity that there is on this earth. We're spiritual workers. We work in direct connection with the divine. Everything we do must be with integrity and intention and alignment. Every offer we make must be with a pure heart of really looking to help others transform their lives. And we must continue the soul journey for ourselves. The shadow work is never over, and that's not a bad thing. You know, and you all know I love shadow work, so I feel like my opinion on shadow work is probably like not as popular. I just think it's great. Like working with my shadow and understanding my shadow through all these different avenues, like personally, through my family, through my partner, through my business, again, has just truly, truly transformed my life for the better. I'm in the best spot of life that I've ever been in my entire life. And so if you're afraid of shadow work, babes, don't be. And so with that being said, I just want you to understand that if you are in the phase, like I said, of starting your business, you're thinking about starting your business, you're looking to scale your business, you're already in business and you're trying to create stable income, you're at 10K and you're going up, whatever it is, this episode is to really remind you that you're doing a good job and to remind you that this is not easy and to remind you that we are dealing with a totally different set of problems than the regular entrepreneur, which is why sometimes this shit feels so damn hard, which is why sometimes this shit feels so damn impossible. And that's why sometimes that imposter syndrome creeps up or your witch wound feels exposed. Or you are sick and tired of your ego coming in, trying to take over a show that nobody invited it to. This is all part of the game. This is all part of your soul contract with this beautiful business that you are building. This is all part of your soul contract with money. But I do believe, okay, so we have collective soul contracts and then we have individual soul contracts. I'm a firm believer that spiritual workers, mystics, healers, diviners, astrologers, whatever you want to call it, we collectively have a soul contract with money. And this is really about us re-understanding what money means and to not be so afraid of it and to not be so afraid of not having it and to not be so afraid of collecting it and to not be so afraid of holding it and to not be so afraid of it in general. There's nothing to fear with money. We need to have the money. And that's what's happening right now. Pluto and Aquarius coming up. There's a shift in who is holding wealth and who is not holding wealth. And people who work in this industry, in my industry, we are the ones who need and who deserve to hold wealth because what's going to happen is when we decide to move that wealth, we are moving it to helping others come up, to training others in this field, to helping others build their business. We're doing it to fundraisers. Like we're giving money to fundraisers. Like we are doing what needs to be done. We're doing what needs to be done with money. And that is what is the most important thing to remember. Money is not evil. Money is a master teacher. You are not a bad person. You are not a person of the matrix if you are ready to up your prices. And I think that's a huge fear too about building your business or scaling your business. Like that folks who have businesses, like big businesses, are like assholes. You know, they take from the little guy. They're pieces of shit. And I don't want to be that. So I'm not going to do that. That is, first of all, The first part, true. People who, okay, let me reel this back a little bit. Some folks who have a lot of wealth can be assholes, right? And can be snobs and can be horrible people. Okay. But that doesn't mean that you are going to be one of those should you hold wealth. Should your business have this insane boom and you have more money in your pocket than you've ever had in your entire life. This is a gift, right? You are not the snob. And this is the whole idea of the new earth leader. We are changing the narrative of money and wealth and power in real time as we move towards new earth, as we move towards this very real, very tangible idea of new earth. How is it tangible, Ash? Look around you. Look at all the folks who are ready to dive deep into their spiritual practice. Look at all the folks who are ready to work for themselves and who are sick of working for the man. Look at all the folks who are diving deep into energy work, right? And really studying their chakra systems and wanting to have a better relationship with their partner and ready to be a better parent, mother, wife, husband, whatever it is. Look at all the folks who are ready to break down generational trauma and generational curses. Look at all the folks who are openly and publicly talking about spirit and their relationship with it. This is New Earth. New Earth is now, and you are part of it. Hello, friends. I hope you loved today's episode. Make sure you share it with a friend, share it with somebody that you love, and tag me on the gram at AshleyMichelle90day and let me know your thoughts. Leaving that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify is literally what helps this work get to the right people. As you may or may not know, we are in the middle of a spiritual revolution, and us being able to get our hands on resources like this podcast and others is what is literally going to make the world go round. So do me this favor and please leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and share the episode with somebody you love. It really, truly does mean the world to me. I love you so very much, and I will see you in the next one.